What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sasquatch Performance Garage. Today I'm going to be doing a review on my 1989 Ford Mustang LX. I've had this thing for about I had this thing for probably about 6, 7, 8 years maybe. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess, right? So, had this thing for a long time. It was a roller when I got this thing. It was just a painted shell. Had all the body panels and stuff like that, but just painted. There was no interior done on it. It did have a dash. No interior done on it, no drivetrain, nothing. Did have the 4 wheels, and that was about it. I built this thing for my wedding day, actually. I wanted to drive off in something kind of cool to, from the wedding, because being as a car guy, all I had at the time was my Ford Ranger and my wife's Honda CR-V, and those aren't exactly cars to drive off a wedding in, at least for me. So, built this thing in 8 months worth of Sundays only. I only had time to work on it on Sundays because of my job that I had. I worked Monday through Saturday and only had Sundays to work on it. So I spent all my time at my parents' garage working on that on Sundays from sun up to sundown. Was able to piece it all together. I did everything on it other than machine the block. I didn't have any way to line hone it or bore out the block or anything like that, so or even deck it, anything like that. So I took that to get machined and all that. Once I had the piston and the rods and all that stuff, took it all to the machine shop, had them measure everything out, bore it out, line hone it, make sure everything's good to go. I then assembled the block. I put all the did all the valve train, all that good stuff. But this is my baby. I will most likely never get rid of this just because of the sentimental value that it holds to me and my wife. Let me give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough right here, and I will show you and kind of tell you everything about this. We'll then take it for a little test drive. See you guys in a bit. All right, so the paint is ingot silver. Kind of a standard factory Ford color, which is going to make it a little bit easy to do any touch-ups or anything like that. I did have a donor car when I built this from a 95 GT. Let's see, here's a good view of the wheels here. So SVE drift wheels, 18-inch, like I said, in gloss black. It does have 5-lug disc brakes all the way around with ABS. I transferred over the ABS since it's its own separate system on the 95 GT. Interior is all black. I pretty much all complete as far as the interior is concerned. I am missing two pieces. The A-pillar up here, along with the portion where the headliner meets the windshield. I'm missing those 2 pieces. All right, so it does have a rear seat delete on this hatchback, along with the battery relocated towards the rear here. Again, everything done by myself in a time crunch situation, so nothing's like all perfect. I do want to sooner or later take this apart again and really go through it, but I do enjoy driving it too much, and I feel like if I had it torn apart, I'd really miss driving it. So I mean, it doesn't bother me as far as the functionality of it. I just wish I had a little more time to mess with it. So all the gauges do work on it. I have all the factory gauges that will show up. I got the volts, temperature, along with oil pressure and fuel gauge. Odometer, speedometer, tachometer all work. I do have the little 3.5-inch Holley Terminator display on there. Shows me all the actual vitals that the Holley is reading. But again, all black interior. This originally was a white car with red interior. Kind of standard old school 80s feel to that, but I went with the classic black when we put this together. So let me show you what's going on underneath the hood. Here we have our small block Ford from a 1995 GT. Only thing that's left on this 95 is honestly just the block. Everything's been taken care of, everything's been changed out. It's all forged internals, scat cranks, scat rods with Icon forged pistons, Scott aluminum heads, good comp cans valve springs in it for the higher lift, higher duration. It is a on-3 turbo kit with a 70mm turbo. Kit fit together pretty well. Just had to do a little bit of modification to get the ABS to fit in there. Has all 95 GT brakes with a old school CarTech breadbox intake. Actually bought that, the guy that I bought the car from had this intake laying around the garage, and I bought that from because I thought it was just really cool and old school. You don't see too many of them like that anymore. It has all PTFE fuel lines from front to back. Has a Hellcat 525 liter per hour fuel pump in the stock tank. Does have a different pickup with modified to be able to fit that bigger fuel pump. Has the Aeromotive boost referenced fuel pressure regulator, along with Motion Raceworks breathers. The breathers then go to a Motion Raceworks catch can inside the passenger side fender. Overall, I mean, it's just a really simple setup almost. I do have, you know, extra things on there to make it more reliable, to be able to get better data from it, all that good stuff. Has a Holley dual sync distributor. Got rid of the TFI or MSD or anything like that. That dual sync works really well with the Holley Terminator system, which is why I went for that. When you get the dual sync, you do have to run a MSD box on it though, just for the spark output. But either way, when you go for a Holley system, get the dual sync. It just makes it so much easier. It's so much more reliable than the TFI. Granted, the Holley will work with the TFI, but the dual sync plugs right into the Holley ignition plug, so works really well with that. I do have a SVE radiator, all aluminum radiator with dual contour fans on it, controlled by the Holley. But I do have it running off a, you know, its own fuse box along with relays, all right here. You know, probably give or take makes between 500 to 550 on the 8-pound wastegate spring. I have gone up a little bit on the boost here and there, but when I did, I either broke the transmission, like just completely shredded third gear, or my fuel injectors would go above 100% duty cycle. So obviously, when I want to do that, I will have to get bigger injectors and most likely get a different transmission. Currently, it's just not in the cards for it. When it comes to the Holley, this is tuned by myself. I am nowhere near anybody that is a good tuner. It does turn on, it does run. I do have trouble with a hot start actually. Cold start, it starts up no matter what. If it's 30 degrees outside or anything, even on E85, it starts up really easily. But for some reason, that hot start, I do have an issue with it, you know, wanting to die out as soon as it starts up, or just taking a really, really long time. My overall goal with this car when I was building it was to make it look almost factory. And, you know, what I mean by that is, you know, on the outside, it looks kind of almost unassuming. Doesn't have big old fat meaty tires on it. It's just got some Nitto NT555 G2s and has a stock hood. The way I was able to make that stock hood fit with this CarTech intake was actually Maxim Motorsports sells spacers for the K-member. I put the spacers between the K-member and the body. It pretty much raises the body up. It raises the body up compared to the K-member, allowing for greater clearance. And that way I was able to keep my stock hood. I do like cowl hoods. I've had Mustangs in the past with cowl hoods, but this one I just wanted to make it look stock until I, you know, either got on it or opened up the hood and, you know, wow, there's a turbo. You know, it's one of those weird things. As far as everything else in this car, it is full tubular suspension, so tubular K-member, tubular A-arms, tubular rear control arms. Has coilovers, strange single adjustable coilovers all the way around. The rear end gear is a 308. I could have gone a little bit higher, but I do like the way, you know, that I'm able to cruise down the highway, you know, 2,000 RPMs, and it revs out. You know, it stays in boost for a long time because of that, and that's kind of what I like. You know, I'm able to hear and feel the power for a lot longer than just spinning the tires and, you know, all that good stuff. Really fun car to drive. My buddies that know me and, you know, that I hang out with and all that, they always ask, you know, which car do you like better? You know, is it the Foxbody or is it the Shelby? And you know, it's kind of a loaded question because each one of them does their own thing really well. You know, the Foxbody, it's just raw brute power, straight line. You know, it does corner well. I got the caster camber plates, I got the tubular suspension, the coilovers, you know, the adjustable shocks, all that good stuff. But it doesn't corner compared to the Shelby, right? But it is 100% faster than the Shelby in a straight line. It is, you know, a lot lighter, obviously, being a Foxbody, even with full interior, all steel, you know, body panels, all that good stuff. But, you know, in terms of it all, this is my favorite car because of sentimental reasons, but my favorite one to drive on the daily basis. So, you know, I'm not worn out afterwards because of the, you know, no AC, no heat, or the manual steering. The Shelby is going to be my favorite one for creature comforts. But the one that I get the most looks at, the most compliments, the most, hey man, that's pretty cool or whatever, is definitely this car as well, just because you don't see as many Foxbodies on the road as you do, say, an S550 Mustang. Even though that my S550 is a Shelby, it's a GT350, you know, they're not exactly the most common ones, you know, but a lot of people don't know that. You know, they just see a S550 Mustang on you know, going down the road, and oh, that's just a 4-cylinder, or that's just a, you know, regular GT. You know, no one ever thinks about it. But this one they see and they know, hey, that's cool, that's old school, you know, whatever. So they each have their perks, they each have their, you know, own personality. And this one, since I built it, it's definitely a favorite of mine just for that reason as well. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and take a few, you know, a little bit of driving trips and stuff like that, and, you know, get you some exhaust sounds and blow off valve sounds and stuff like that. So we're gonna go ahead and make the trip back home, and you know, kind of let you guys hear a little bit of the exhaust, but also, you know, give my impressions on the driving of it. It is loud, even with full exhaust. Just an older car, it's kind of loud, you know, because that it might be hard for you guys to hear a little bit as far as the audio of it, which hopefully it's not too bad, but it very well could be. But it is just a raw driving style. Again, you know, no creature comforts, no power steering, only because I didn't put power steering in this. It was originally a power steering car. But, you know, with even just my, you know, little tuning, is the first time I ever tuned any Holly car, or, you know, really anything kind of this power level. I did tune my old 95 GT kind of with a like binary editor and like a tweaker and all that, but it was just a, you know, heads cam intake car. It wasn't anything, you know, turbo or anything as radical as this one, really. But, you know, again, with my tuning capabilities, you know, every once in a while it does have a little bit of, like, say, a hanging idle, or it wants to idle up on its own. You know, I would honestly like to get this thing professionally tuned, but I do also kind of like playing with it to see if I could get anything better on it, which, you know, I'll start doing that, and I'll bring you guys along for the ride on it and show you any improvements. And, you know, nowhere will I be a professional tuner or anything like that, but I guess what I like to say sometimes is I know enough to get myself in trouble. But I would like to, you know, like I said, tear this thing apart again, just because I feel like there are reinforcements. I didn't put Dynamat on the torque box reinforcements, and those are directly connected to, you know, the rest of your rear suspension, which could definitely be a cause for extra NVH in the car. So I feel like, you know, tearing apart this car again would make it a lot better as far as sound quality and just drivability. I made this to go to the drag strip, you know, and just do normal driving. Let's see your little exhaust here. You could hear the exhaust and the blow-off valve and you know, the spooling of the turbo. That's the cool part, you know. You just I love all the noise, you know. I say I don't like the noises that it makes while cruising and all that, but when I get on it, the noises it makes are awesome. So great. You know, I would like to change out the exhaust to, say, some MagnaFlows. I've always been a fan of MagnaFlows, but the things I could get my hands on were the Flowmasters at the time. You know, again, I was building this right during the peak of the pandemic. You know, mid to late 2020, and you know, everything was going crazy during that time, and you know, there were some things that I couldn't get my hands on and stuff like that. But you know, overall, really good car. You know, I feel confident in driving this thing anywhere I wanted to, just because of the product, you know, the parts that I used on it, and you know, me being able to put it together. I haven't had any actual issues with it. Nothing's broken yet. Nothing, you know, other than the transmission, but that was because I put the boost a little too high, and it wasn't during a shift or anything like that. I was getting on it, but it was like right at like 5,500, 6,000 RPMs, and it just boom. And luckily, I was really close to my parents' house, so I was able to nurse it back to the garage in first, second, fourth, and fifth. But I'm gonna continue driving on the way home. You know, enjoying my time doing it, and I'll see you guys back at the house. Alright guys, we are back home now after that nice little cruise. I hope you guys enjoy the content about my Foxbody here. We got tons more stuff coming up, you know, upgrades for it, tuning, stuff like that. You know, this is gonna be a constant project, you know, like every other project car. It's never done, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys on the next one. See ya.